One thing that emotional abusers are good at, aside from draining the life force from their victims, is creating self doubt within their victims. They invalidate, gaslight you to a point where you question your own reality. And in the process of healing from any sort of emotional abuse, something that you heavily need to tackle is a self doubt that comes from being gaslighted so much. This is crucial in moving forward with your life, healing, recovering, and getting your life back on track. So before we get into what how the gaslighting creates self-doubt and what you can do about it, let's quickly define what self-doubt actually is. I mean, obvious signs are behaviors like constantly second guessing yourself, maybe not trusting your own judgment or your own opinions or intuition, even. But it can show up in so many other ways that you don't even realize this is because of self doubt. For example, if you're constantly apologizing, even when you didn't do everything wrong, this could be a sign of self doubt accompanied with low self esteem. Maybe your overthinking leads to your inability to make decisions or prevents you from taking action. Um, when you make a decision, you fear making a decision because you feel like you'll make the wrong one. You can't trust yourself to make proper decisions, and it's scary to have that sort of responsibility on you. Could also show up in avoiding spotlight. You try to stay in the background, and you're afraid of giving your own opinions because you're scared you embarrass yourself or you say something stupid, and so you stay away from the limelight as much as possible, or you dim your own light so you don't draw too much attention to yourself. You may also struggle with or find it hard to stay motivated or believe in your ability to successfully accomplish something. Even though you are qualified to do it, and you probably have completed this task multiple times in the past, but every time you do it, you still struggle with feeling like you will actually successfully complete it. You may have imposter syndrome, right? You feel like you don't deserve your accomplishments, even though they are your accomplishments. You got them, right? Through your own actions and things you've done, you achieved something, but you still feel like you don't believe it or you don't belong in places where you earned your spot there. You may feel less than. You might compare yourself to other people and you might find that you are lacking somehow. These are just a few hints that you might have a lot of self doubt. I know myself, I used to behave in ways like this, and I didn't even link it to self doubt. Like, for example, I mentioned before the apologizing. I used to do that a lot, right? Walk into a room and be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. When I didn't even need to apologize. Um, and I didn't realize that came from self doubt, constantly judging and doubting yourself. I must have done something wrong. And all of this sort of self doubt and second guessing and all of these effects all stem from emotional abuse and gaslighting. Well, gaslighting through emotional abuse that I endured from the hands of the narcissists in my life. That's the conclusion I came to. All of the behaviors that were showing signs of self doubt, the root cause was gaslighting. I was gaslighted, and um, I was gaslighted by a narcissist and emotional abusers in my life. These people are really good at creating self doubt in people. With the use of their favorite tool, gaslighting, they distort the truth to make you feel like you can't trust yourself or your perception of reality. This way, reality is what they essentially make it. They invalidate your feelings, experiences, memories to a point where you even deny your own feelings when you are the only person who can know how you truly feel because you are the one feeling it, but you don't trust that. And this is how they create self-doubt. For example, a narcissist may say something that will upset you, that anyone would be upset to hear about, right? Maybe they'll call you ugly or something like that. And when they see your reaction, you reacting negatively towards it, they'll say, "Oh, you're being too sensitive." And if this happens over and over again, especially if this person's very pushy, it causes you to doubt your own feelings. Maybe I am too sensitive. And then you start having wrong reactions to situations where instead of you're supposed to be standing up for yourself and saying no, you end up going with it because you're afraid of looking like you're too sensitive, or you hold back your emotions for fear of again being seen as too sensitive, even in situations where the narcissist is not around, because they have essentially programmed you to believe that you are too sensitive when you have a normal reaction to things. So you try to not have any sort of reaction or hold back your natural human reaction to things. Um, Furthermore, if you had a parent who was like an emotional abuser, or you grew up in an abusive household, perhaps you dated an abuser in the past, chances are you were pre-programmed to doubt yourself. So any sort of uh, narcissist or abusive person you come across now will continue to invalidate you where the previous parent or relationship had left off, right? Essentially taking advantage of your trauma and your abusive past. Um, like you were prepared almost for this person. Your thinking was already put in line in place so that you would be in a relationship with an emotional abuser or narcissist or someone like that. Isn't that crazy? Like when you think of it like that, when I came to this realization, it really hurt me to think that the people I trusted the most, my family, the people who were close to me, pre-programmed me to be in an abusive relationship, essentially. I mean, the self-doubt created in childhood by, let's say, narcissistic parents, for example, will absolutely continue in adulthood unless you actively do something to get rid of it. So why do all of this? Why do narcissists and emotional abuser gaslighters need you to doubt yourself? The answer is very simple. Control. When you doubt yourself, it's easier to control you. They inject self-doubt, low self-esteem, a bunch of other insecurities to keep you dependent on them. Essentially, they manipulate you into submitting to their version of reality. Crazy, right? Um, these people create a false reality and they need you to play along. But they can't do that if you're living in the real world. So they want you to abandon your reality. And this is especially true for narcissists who need things to play out in reality the way it plays out in their heads. Right? They want you to abandon reality and live in their world. They want you to play a supporting role in the TV show that's playing in their mind. Right? That's what narcissists do. Emotional abusers, also, they like toying with people in a way. They like doing this to you, completely shattering your world and leaving you to their will. You know, they, I don't know. It's like their thing. It's crazy. It's insane. So, how do you then overcome the effects of gaslighting, the self-doubt? How do you heal from this and get back to reality, your own version of reality? I believe the key to overcoming this self-doubt is a two-step process. There's two things that you need to do. First is remove the narcissist or the emotional abuser from the pedestal they have forced themselves on. And number two, put yourself and your thoughts and whatever comes out of your mind or your head, your beliefs, on that pedestal, right? Make your beliefs a priority. Make that something that's um, unshakable, something that cannot be taken down, that cannot be, what's the word I'm looking for? That the narcissist or the emotional abuser can't come and shift and change to bend to their will. Strengthen that within yourself and make your opinion the most important opinion to you, so that whenever someone comes in with their own opinion, you deflect. You say, no, no thanks, I'm already set on this issue. I know what I want. This will lead you to trust your own opinion and discredit theirs. So even if they try to come and force their version of reality on you, you say, no thanks, I already know what I believe. You have to realize that everything they say and do is to serve themselves and to make sure you doubt yourself. So you can't trust them. You can't trust a single thing they say. Don't let them take control of your perception of reality or uh, discourage you into doubting your own abilities or your own accomplishments, things that you've done. For, they literally could, you could accomplish something, or like get good grades, for example, and they will somehow distort that into being a bad thing. You know what I mean? So don't let these little things they say of discouragement get to you. That's one method they like to use to sort of, the gaslighting method. Do not internalize anything negative they have to say about you. It's probably not true, or it's a projection, or it's some twisted version of reality, right? They must do this whenever they start speaking to you. Just especially, you can kind of tell whenever they're about to, gaslight, when the gaslighting is about to happen. They will bring up, let's say you did something remarkable, you accomplished something great. Let's say you won an award for you you're an athlete and you won a gold medal or whatever, right? They'll come in and they'll say, you know, gold medals aren't all that. That right there, that's the trigger. When you hear that, when they the first sentence, when they start talking smack about something you did or something you do or your accomplishment, when you hear that, you say, nope, 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 I am not going down this road. If you can, distance yourself, get up and leave the room. If you can't leave the room, check out. Start thinking about what you're gonna eat for lunch, what movie you're gonna watch, what's good on Netflix. What am I gonna watch on Netflix? Think about that. Completely check out, because you know that anything that comes after that is going to be absolute nonsense. It's going to be a lie, a twisted version of reality, or a projection of someone coming from their own insecurities, right? They're trying to tear. Oh, sorry about that. My mic switched off. Um, I usually charge it so that I can record for a while without. But yeah, it turns off. It's not fully charged. It just turns off uh, mid live stream, so I have to plug it in. I hope you can't hear the static. This is why I hate plugging it in while I'm live, because it has this static that I really don't like. I'll try to charge it for longer so that it can go through the whole. I can go through the whole live stream without it turning off. I'm sorry about that. Yes. So where was I? Yes. So when they start speaking, hear those trigger words, they start devaluing something you've done, or something you say, or you as a person. Check out. Either leave the room or just stop listening, because anything that comes after that is just going to be an absolute lie, and it's just designed to hurt your feelings and make you feel like you're worthless and not worth listening to, right? Because they are not worth listening to. Nothing they say of you is important. Um, it's all just lies and projections and twisted versions of reality. But you, on the other hand, are someone worth listening to. The fact that this person chose you is proof enough that you are a decent person, right? They, they can only do that to decent people. They can't do that to someone like themselves because as much as they can dish it out, they can't take it. They can't handle their own abuse. You know how, like, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist, they like to steal your talking points or pretend they came up with something that you did. Would anyone steal something from someone that was worthless? Right? I don't think so. They might discredit things you say or do, make you seem silly to devalue you. But then at the same time, they turn around and copy your talking points, steal characteristics from you, even steal personality traits, right? Your hobbies, things you like. But then you just a second ago you were saying that that was whack, right? That was silly. But now you're all about it. I ask again, would you steal something that was worthless? You know, this is what I mean when I say that the fact that they chose you is proof enough that you are someone great. They're the type of people who shoot up. um, you are probably have the ability to add more value to the world and have more important things to say than they ever will. You know that you are worthy of being listened to, and you are worthy, you are enough as you are, and you can trust yourself. You have to see yourself as someone valuable and worth protecting. This will help you stay away from people like this, especially when the horrible treatment comes in. You're actually pretty awesome, and you need to see that about yourself, right? They probably see that and it intimidates them. They try to shut it down. You need to work on removing any of your limiting beliefs and negative thoughts you might have about yourself, especially if you grew up in a home with an emotional abuser. You probably have a lot of negative thoughts about yourself. You feel unworthy, unlovable, you're not good enough, things like that. That's something you have to work on removing because it's simply not true. And you feel like you need to work for love, all sorts of things. You need to go back into your childhood, look at the dynamic between you and your parents, your caregivers, how they treated you, how the people around you treated you. You might find that it was quite unfair, and especially if like as I said before, and the root cause of this self doubt came from childhood. And the best thing is to remember what happened in your history and how it could have formed your beliefs about yourself. And your beliefs about yourself, essentially, they are behind how you operate in life, right? So if you feel like you're good enough, you operate in a way that, you know, that you act as if you're good enough, and that's what you project in the world. So if you feel like you're not worth protecting, then you stick around these types of people, and they will take advantage of you and make you doubt yourself and do all sorts of things. But if you tell yourself you're good enough, you're worthy, you're valuable, someone worth protecting, you will avoid these people like the plague because they go against what you believe about yourself. So that's definitely something you need to go into. I've done a lot of videos about going into limiting beliefs and changing that. And I think I might do some more a dedicated video because I've mentioned it in other videos briefly, but I think I'll do a dedicated video. And whenever I speak about limiting beliefs and all of that, I'll just redirect people to that video. Yeah, because it's crucial to learn to trust yourself and put your opinion above, especially your opinion about yourself, right? Because we have opinions about things in the world, and that might, you know, it might change over time, right? You might see something as good, but then later on down the road, you might discover that actually, maybe it wasn't that great, you know, and it's something that the world needs to stop doing. But let's say your opinions about yourself should always be high. You should always see yourself as worthy, lovable, enough. And that's something that shouldn't change. So that's something that should stay solid and firm because essentially that's how you operate in the world. So you need to learn to trust yourself. And trusting yourself comes from seeing yourself as someone worth trusting. I don't know if that makes sense. Seeing yourself as someone valuable and worth trusting. Um, your intuition is a real thing. And when you doubt yourself, you lose touch with your intuition because you stop listening to it because you don't trust it. It can be hard to do this, especially if you've dealt with a narcissist or an emotional abuser, but it's the best thing you can do for yourself because only you know what's best for you. Only you know all your dreams, desires, your hopes, the things you Google in the middle of the night. You know all of that. So when you follow your intuitive hunches, what because it's your internal compass, right? Your intuitive hunches are the best indicators for how you feel, and how you feel is aligned with your desires. So essentially, when you follow your intuition, you're almost leading yourself to the right path or taking the right actions to get things you want in life, right? But if you doubt yourself, you won't follow those intuitive hunches, and so you block them off. You won't listen. You will tell you, apply for that job. You can do it because your feeling is that everything written in this sort of job description is what I want. I can do this, and I want to work at this company because I've wanted to work at a company like this for a while. So I should apply to this. But then your self doubt will be like, no, don't listen, stop. So you start, it blocks you from listening to intuition and following something that aligns with your desires. So that's why it's very, very important in the process of recovering from emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse, and dealing with people like that. You need to learn to trust yourself because the gaslighting is real and the effects are like horrific. Um, the, the trickery it plays in your mind. Not only do they play tricks on your mind, but they almost set you up to keep playing those tricks on yourself until you just decide, I'm going to do something about it. Gaslighting is horrible. And the self doubt is definitely a huge sign that you're gaslighted. So trying to overcome that is really important. Removing the opinions of whoever gaslighted you, removing their opinions, throwing them out the window, and then in return putting your good opinions about yourself and your own opinions at holding them at the highest esteem, at the highest regards, and saying that I know what's best for me. I am the one I should be listening to. And sometimes people might even have like this is just a side note about, just going on to the whole believing in yourself and stop doubting yourself. You might even be dealing with someone who isn't like an emotional abuser or narcissist, for example, and they still tell you, no, don't apply for that job. No, 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 you won't get. They might be coming from a good place, right? Because they're scared for you. They don't want you to, get your hopes up and then get crushed. But the thing is, they might not be completely aware of your abilities and how, you could kill it with that job. You could completely, dominate and come out on top and impress the job recruiters, the people you work with, things like that. So really the only person you should be listening to about yourself is yourself, right? So and self-doubt prevents that. So this is why it's important to start trusting yourself, start trusting your intuition, and put your opinion above everyone else's. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see more content like this, especially about emotional abuse recovery, please subscribe so you're notified whenever I go live. I hope to see you in my next live. Bye.